Hi, Taurus, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your January 2022 full moon reading for you. Now, I ask if this reading resonates with you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now, before we begin this reading, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. I have a protection candle burning for everyone, so it has amethyst and salt and lavender in it, and I hope the energy passes through to you and you find it as healing and as cleansing as I have. And so now let's cleanse the energy space with the singing bowl. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds, letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. So let's see what the tarot has to say. How will Taurus be affected by the January 2022 full moon? Angels and spirit guides show me clearly. 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 So at the bottom is our rooted self. The left-hand side is our inner self. The middle, our heart, our emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. So let's see what the cards have to say. We have the Hierophant, which is Taurus energy. Absolutely beautiful. This is the essence of us shining through at the root of ourselves. And we have the Strength card, Leo energy, coming forward. So if we have Leo within our natal chart, it's coming forward very powerfully here at our root. The sun is also opposite the moon at this time. And so that energy, that's going to kind of amplify the full moon, what we're experiencing at this time. Because Leo is ruled by the sun. We are ruled by Venus. So just being aware of that. Then we have the Hangman. And we have the Page of Coins. This is us coming through as a student of prosperity, of what we want within our lives. We're looking at things very, very differently. We then have the Nine of Wands in our inner self. The Queen of Swords, air sign energy, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And the Nine of Cups, prosperity and a wish coming true. We have the Hangman again. I love that. And we have the Two of Wands, new beginnings, new ideas. You know, this sense of my world is expanding. And that's really quite beautiful for us. So let's look at the energy we need to be mindful of during this time. Angels and spirit guides show me clearly. This is Aquarius energy. This is the star. So if we have Aquarius within our natal chart, this is something we need to be aware of. But this is also our dreams and our wishes and what we desire. Now, people can be manipulating us using what it is that they know that we deeply want against us in some sort of way. So just be aware of that. But this is also the energy of how am I moving forward towards what I dream of, what I desire, where it is that I want to be. Are my dreams kind of clouding my vision for reality, or is reality taking over and taking away my dreams? So that's going to be a really important thing. That's something really beautiful to meditate upon, or really kind of intense to meditate on, because during a full moon, the duality of our life comes forward. What needs to be in balance comes forward. And I do really see it here. It's our dreams and our practical self that needs to be in balance. Let's look at our chakra energy. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. This is psychic development. Now, this is the third eye chakra. The singing bowl right here is for the third eye. So I love that that energy has come forward here in our chakra energy that we're talking about psychic development. This is a time of our intuition, of our psychic self being very strong, because we have this full moon in Cancer, which is very emotionally strong, and also the full moon is going to be opposite Pluto, which is going to really amplify things as well. So knowing that our instincts, knowing that our psychic development is going to be something of great potence here, of great importance, of great, potential. That is something to really look at, and not to ignore the inner voice within us that's guiding us, that's leading us. So let's talk about this time astrologically speaking. We have here the full moon in Cancer, and it says a personal issue reaches resolution, which is really quite beautiful. We're going to start to see things kind of coming to a crescendo and balancing out. And as things are balancing out, we're seeing ourselves, we're seeing what we desire, we're seeing what we want. We're also starting to see things fall into place. We're starting to see us fall into place. And that's going to be something that's very important. It can be something that's also very overwhelming. So being aware of that is going to help to move us forward. Now, on the 17th of January is the full moon in Cancer. It is the wolf moon, because this is a time, especially if we live in the northern hemisphere, where things get cold, right? It's been super cold here. It's been like 3 degrees, which is negative 16 Celsius. It is so cold at times that, the wolves, if you have wolves around you, this is a time where historically the wolves would get hungry because food would be scarce. And so it's called the wolf moon. And we can also see in our lives, new year, new you type of thing. But this is also a time where we start to get hungry for what it is that we deeply want. There's a kind of, if you want to equate it to the wolf moon, there's a howling inside of us to say, this is where I need to be, or this is what I long for, or this is what I want. Now, if we live in cold climates, it can be because we're more introspective, we're inside more, we're connecting more with our inner self. But it's also just going to be, even if we're in the southern hemisphere, it's like, what do I long for? What do I want? And I just feel that power so strongly during this time. The moon is opposite the sun. Now, with all full moons, our family, our home, our relationships come into focus, as well as the opposite forces within our lives. What we want and what we need, what other people want from us and what we want from us, our work life, our home life. The opposite forces come into play. We become much more aware of this. This is also a time when we seek balance. We need to listen to our inner voice, and our spirit is really guiding us towards something more, towards something that is important to us. It's like, pay attention. And we're going to be a little bit blind, a little bit deaf to it, and be like, oh no, I'm fine. Oh no, I'm not needing to pay attention to anything, because our hearts, we're listening too much to the outside world. It's kind of like, if I connect, if I really understand, that might be too overwhelming. That might be too intense for me. So just be aware of this energy that's coming forward. The full moon is opposite Pluto. Now, Pluto rules Scorpio. So if we have Scorpio energy within our natal chart, that's going to come out and be affected during this time. This aspect will see us much more emotional, and our emotions much more intense than we are used to. We will be feeling more vulnerable because of mood swings, because of fears, because of jealousy, and just simply because we're more emotionally plugged in to the world around us and to ourselves. So things become more intense. Cancer energy, a personal issue, is reaching a resolution. Scorpio energy, you're walking between the world of the conscious and the subconscious. So things become intense. Some of us will find this absolutely exhausting. We might not be ready for psychic development. We might not be ready to really trust our intuition, that inner voice, that inner guidance within us. If we're not, that's okay. To say to ourselves, or to say to our spirit guides, and just to kind of say to the world in general, I need time alone, or I need, this energy to calm down a bit, can be very important, especially since the new moon energy, not the new moon, the full moon energy, lasts for 2 weeks. Lasts for 2 weeks as we are connecting and understanding. And that's going to be really quite powerful for us. So understanding this is going to be really important. Not letting yourself be manipulated by others' feelings and our own heightened emotional, empathic compassion, that's also going to be important. For those who are working on empathic or psychic development, this is the perfect time to connect. We're also seeing that again in our chakra energy. This is the perfect time to connect. But make sure you are grounding yourself. Make sure you are not stretching yourself too thin. Also make sure that you are not getting too emotionally involved or invested in things. So it's going to need you to stay a little bit separate, have really strong boundaries. That's going to be important. And this can be just a time where we work on these strong boundaries. We work on saying no to things. We work on not letting other people's energies come in and affect us so much. So that's going to be a very important thing. The moon is conjunct the fixed star Pochiron. So Chiron, I believe I'm saying that correct, has a Mars and Mercury nature to it, which makes us, stubborn and judgy and hasty. We do have the grounding energy of us coming forward as a Taurus energy. We do have the emotional energy of Venus coming forward. But again, because we can be so empathic, we can be so emotionally invested in things during this time, we have to be aware of that. With Chiron, we also have to be aware that we're going to think that the more work we put into something, the more force we put into something, the more and the better results we will see. And that's not always going to be the case. Kind of the idea of work smarter, not harder, that's going to be very important. Because if we let ourselves think the more force I put behind it, Chiron can also make us more violent. It can make us more, judgmental and hurtful and hateful. Because we're going to think the more I push, the better it will be. And that's not necessarily going to be the case. Actually, that is never going to be the case. So at our root is the very essence of us. Taurus, if we are fully connected, if we are fully evolved, which we get to in moments, like we can feel glimpses of that, right? If we're on this journey of spirituality and understanding of self, we start to become very powerful. We connect with the power of what is important in our lives, and we disconnect from that which isn't. So this is going to be a time where we need to claim our throne, claim what we want, claim what we desire, and open up the keys to us. Because what we don't understand, Taurus, is that we're represented by the Hierophant. The Hierophant represents the Pope in the major arcana, right? And the Pope in the medieval world was the most powerful person in the medieval world, in the medieval Western world. So this is going to be a time for us to embrace the power that gives us the keys to the kingdom, gives us the keys to our prosperity and our abundance and our desire and who it is that we want to be, what it is that we need to be. And this becomes the game changer as we claim what is important for our life, our traditions, our desires, and our values. Not meaning that it has to be orthodoxy or how we were raised or anything like that. It's like, this is the fundamental truth for me. And if I walk away from this, I walk away from who I am. And that's going to be very important for us. Truth is going to be very important to us. It moves us to Leo energy. Leo energy, strength energy, the power of connection, the power of standing tall and standing firm in our convictions. Also the power of not letting our egos take over, which they can very much want to do. This is going to be a time of asserting what we desire, but also saying what we don't want within our lives, what we don't want from ourselves. This is going to be a time of knowing that love conquers, that compassion conquers. That lion, always when I see, the woman and the lion walking together, I think of Saint Thecla, right? She's an Eastern saint, I think Eastern Orthodoxy. And her story in the Gnostic tales is just so extraordinary. She was proselyting, I believe that's the word for it, with Paul. And every time they would go to different, towns, different villages, she would get arrested and Paul would just hide away. So it doesn't make Paul look very good. But what would happen is, one time she was going to be fed to the lions, right? And what happened is all the female lions came around her and protected her from the male lions. And the people saw this in the arena because they were there to see her be eaten. And they were like, oh my gosh, we're letting her go. She's obviously protected. And that's what I see here. It's kind of like we are going to be protected in a way that is extraordinary, right? In a way that has people looking at us. If we truly invest in the faith of our love, in the faith of compassion, in the faith of understanding. And I say faith, it doesn't have to be faith, but that is the way it's kind of coming to me right now. And we used a religious story here, Spirit and I, Spirit used this religious story of Thecla to bring this message forward. It's going to be the strength of connection, the strength of understanding, the strength of, a conviction. And here, it's not letting the ego get in the way, but it's letting the love shine forward. And that's going to be so important to us. We're also starting to see things differently than we have before. We could have been very reactionary. And from the full moon on the 17th, two weeks after, we're going to find ourselves looking at things quite differently than we have before. It's not going to be reactionary. It's going to be compassionately. It's going to be with understanding. It's going to be with desire. It's going to be with a sense of, how do I make my world better? How do I make this run smoother? Not, I'm taking on these responsibilities and I have to fix it, but it's, I'm looking at things to be wiser and more intentional within ourselves. Here, it's so interesting because in this, the hangman represents Odin in Norse mythology, right? Norse mythology, Odin hung upside down from the tree of life to get knowledge. Or was it the tree of life? I don't know what tree it was. But he hung upside down from the tree to get knowledge, to gain an understanding, to see himself better and better and better, to see the world around him better and better and better. And what happened is he wound up losing an eye, right? An eye was taken. He acquired the ravens of truth and of memory, of thought and memory, I believe it is. And he sees things now so much more clearly. Even though if you looked at him, you would think, okay, your vision was taken away. A part of you was maimed. But no, a part of him was opened. And that's what we're going to be seeing here. There's going to be a way that we see things differently and we think, oh, this is wrong, or oh, this isn't how it's supposed to be. And Spirit's saying here, oh no, oh, I'm opening up the door to you. We're seeing this inwardly and we're becoming a student. We're becoming a student of prosperity, a student of what is desired, what is valuable, what is important. We're going to become a student of where it is we need to be for us, how we're opening up the door, how we're gaining this understanding, how we're gaining this knowledge, how we're gaining this truth. And there's going to be a sense of, what seeds am I planting? Not what am I harvesting? This is going to be a time where we're looking at things. It's like, what am I learning? What am I planting? What am I understanding? How is my jealousy, moving me? How is my desire moving me? How is, my anger, my hurt, my pain? And I know we're talking about negative things right now, but how am I planting those seeds? How am I planting those seeds within my life? And do I want to continue? Am I done with this? We can say we're done with jealousy, and yet, the green-eyed monster will always come up within us in the most inopportune times, or when we're feeling down and bad. We can beat ourselves up over that. Or we can say, okay, I'm heading into a negative mindset. My energy vibration is lowering. I'm feeling drained. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Why? And we can see our coping mechanisms that come with that. Am I drinking more? Am I taking drugs? Am I trying to control everything around me? Am I over, people pleasing? Am I overcompensating in one way or another? We see our negative personality traits come forward to say, how am I numbing this instead of taking this as a learning lesson? How am I seeing what it is that I desire and moving forward in what it is that I truly want for myself and where it is that I truly need to be for me? And this becomes a time where we can start to see new doors opening to us. Are we ready for it? We can start to see new desires leading us forward. Are we ready for it? It brings us to the 9 of Wands. Our heart is taking in everybody else's information. We're going to feel a lot more emotionally connected to people, yes, astrologically speaking, because of the full moon being opposite Pluto, because of the full moon being in Cancer, that's going to be a thing. But this is also because people's opinions are going to mean more to us during this time. It's a sensitivity. It's a sense of making everybody happy. It's a sense of, trying to balance everything in a certain way. And what Spirit is saying here is, why? Why are you doing that to yourself? Why are you overburdening yourself? Why are you overwhelming yourself? This is a time to realize that we are warriors. We have been battle weary and scarred for a really long time. Our heads can hurt, our bodies can ache, our shoulders, our arms, everything can feel in knots and overwhelmed. What we need to say is, am I listening to the right things? Am I filling myself with energy that builds me up or breaks me down? Am I seeing what I desire from my life, or am I falling apart? Because I'm trying to fix everything, and I can't fix everybody's life. Do I stand in my energy? Do I stand in myself? Do I honor the battles that I've fought, the battles that I have lost, and the battles that I have won, all of which have shaped me? And do I honor me? It brings us to the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords is the most masculine of all the queens, and that gives her a bad rep. So in some books, in some tarot readers will say the Queen of Swords is an absolute, witch with a B, type of energy, but she's not. The Queen of Swords is the person who knows, this is the time I've put into it. This is the effort I put into it. To learn how to wield a sword, which is the only weapon in the tarot, was a skill, was a tremendous, tremendous skill. In medieval times, if you were a peasant, you were killed if you knew how to use a sword. You weren't allowed to. Period. End of discussion. In old pictures, in paintings of, the Renaissance and medieval times, right? You see people storming the castles with pitchforks, with shovels, with these weird weapons that you think, oh, that's a great use. And I always thought that was allegorical. I always thought that was reiterating the fact that they were poor peasants and the people had weapons. No, they weren't allowed to have weapons. Here, our heart has a weapon. Our heart and our mind are coming together. There's strength in our ideas. There's strength in what we love, but also what we know of our hearts, how we're able to read our emotions, how we're able to connect with our emotional desire. We're cutting through doubts, fears, and negativity. We're seeing things much more openly, much more honestly. We can be a little bit abrupt and a little bit rude to ourselves at times, a little bit rude to the emotions that we're feeling. We might sit there and really feel like, don't be, such a pansy, or don't let yourself, get so emotionally invested in this, or stop, sniveling over these things. It's not important. No, let yourself feel and let your mind and your heart reach this understanding, have this communication. I'm feeling this because, which sounds like something from therapy, right? But it is important. I'm feeling this because, I feel scared because, I feel overwhelmed because. And to let ourselves have that inner dialogue is going to be so important, because this is air sign energy. And air sign energy is all about talking, all about communication. And we have, the fixed star Pochiron, there we go, bringing that Mars Mercury energy into our realm of being, meaning that we need to communicate. But if we don't communicate with ourselves correctly, it will lead to violence. It can lead to us thinking, if I just push forward, again, if I just go after things, I'll be able to force it to be right. And we're going to think that emotionally for ourselves, and we're going to think that with the rest of the world. So knowing that that doesn't work, we can move to journaling if that's what works for you. If you're like me, severely dyslexic, or even not dyslexic, it just doesn't work to journal it all out. It's not that healing, cleansing, emotion that we like. We can talk it out. We can, sit there and think about it, meditate on it while we sit quietly, meditate or color, or go for a walk, go for a run. Whatever it is that connects the heart with the mind and connects our feelings with our logic is going to be so important, because the Queen of Swords is, medievally, a queen is the healer, is the nurturer, is the person who brings forward the next line, the next kind of kingdom that comes forward for us in our world. And this is going to be, how do I connect with my knowledge to bring forward the kingdom for me, which we have the keys of, because the Hierophant here, as always the Hierophant has, are the keys to our prosperity, to our success, to what we desire in our lives, to our kingdom. And then we have the Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups is sweetness melting on our lips like honey. It is wishes being granted. It is love coming forward. It's what we desire. It's what we want. It's what we need. It's also a sense of honoring this. In the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the cups are behind her, meaning that, and it's a man, right? So meaning that he's kind of like the fat cat. Like, I get to have this. I get to guard this. This is important. Here, they're all around her. I get to savor this. I get to be a part of this. That's going to be very important for us. We can tend to want to save these cups for special. It's kind of like save your best clothes for special. Don't, do this. It has to be for special occasions type of thing. And here it's like, no, live in that special moment. Live in the joy. Live in the wishes. Live in the desire of the heart and the soul, because it makes you brave. It makes you extraordinary. It makes you brilliant. It makes you beautiful. And it brings us to the Hangman. And the Hangman here says waiting and rebirth and sacrifice and reflection, which is what we're going through, to be able to see more clearly, to be able to change what it is that we want from our world and who it is that we are and where it is that we need to be. There's that reflection. There's that waiting. There's that sense of, now I'm seeing everything differently. Now what? I've done the work. I'm starting to, take everything in a different way, in a different manner. Now what? How do I connect with my heart, my soul, myself? How do I see what I truly desire? How do people understand me? How do I understand me now? But it starts to bring us to the Two of Wands, which are plans and partnership and influence. How is seeing things differently taking us on a different journey? How are we opening up the doors to us? How are we seeing that our world is bigger than we realized it was going to be? How do we hold the world in our hands and not think I own it, and not feel overwhelmed by it, but say, this is what I get to walk into. I get to walk into the world that connects with my heart, my soul, myself, and what I desire. I get to fall in love with me. I get to see me more and more and more. We're changing what we see. We're changing what we desire. We're changing at times who we are. We can feel very different during this full moon, because we are embracing an emotion and an understanding and a wisdom that is foreign to us, and yet the truth that grounds us. And that could be what's foreign to us. I'm putting my needs first, not in a selfish way, but in a way that says, I get to be grounded, I get to be stable, I get to be secure, I get to be loved, I get to be connected with, and I get to not apologize for saying I matter. It moves us to our lunar energy. Angels and spirit guides show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides show me clearly. Oh, goodness. Okay. Okay. So at our root, we have the new moon. So this intensity is going to last till the new moon, which I'm not sure when the new moon is in February. Is it on the 2nd, the 3rd? It's in the beginning of February. So being aware of that, this intensity comes in. It's bringing us a new start. The spotlight that's being shown by the full moon is bringing us a new start. It's bringing us a new insight. And it's saying this will last till the new moon. Be patient. Be patient for what's opening. Be patient for the way that we are walking forward. Be patient for what is being embraced within our lives, within ourselves. And it moves us to our lunar inner self, which is the answers you need are coming, amplifying the Cancer energy. Here it's the full moon in Cancer. No, this is the full moon in Gemini. So the answers we need are coming, but I do see it very connected with the Cancer energy, and that's to our personal issues are reaching a resolution. And we're going to see a healing coming in, the answers coming in, the resolution coming in, through self-reflection, through greater understanding, through intensity, through insight, through seeing ourselves and letting ourselves kind of communicate, speak in a way that we haven't felt comfortable speaking before. It brings us to our lunar inner self with our lunar, not our lunar inner self, but our lunar emotional self. And it says the full moon in Libra, a win-win outcome is forecast wisdom. To balance the scales, to find the balance within our lives, to embrace the balance within our lives. It is wisdom that comes forward. And the interesting thing is that the full moon in Pluto, and why Pluto came forward so intensely for us Scorpio, is that that's our sister sign. So our sister sign is the energy that can build us up, that can love us, that can nurture us like nobody else, like only a sister can. But it can also be that energy that rips us down, that makes us feel vulnerable and alone and overwhelmed like nobody else can. It's our sister energy. And so here, a win-win outcome is forecast as we focus on balance, as we focus on the wisdom of walking between worlds, of, understanding the truth of ourselves, our subconscious and our conscious, of what our soul deeply needs. And it can come to us in the oddest of ways. It can come to us in the YouTube videos that we keep watching, or the TikToks that we watch, or, whatever sort of media we consume. It can come to us in books. It can come to us in movies. Start to think of what has been thrown in your path. Leave it in the comment box below if you feel comfortable with it. For me, it's been living off-grid. Now, do I want to live off-grid? No, not really. I like my modern day comforts, very much so. But it's connecting with the land. And I keep on being told time and time again, connect with the land. It's also connecting with who I truly am and not being embarrassed by it, not hiding away. And so that's also important. What is coming forward that says, be patient. The win-win outcome is forecast, but you have to embrace your wisdom. You have to embrace who you are. You have to find that balance. It moves us to our lunar public arena self. And it says adjustments are required, but fear is real. The fear is real. We find ourselves hiding away. We have the murder of crows around us, which sounds so terribly ominous, but it's almost like, do we murder that fear? Or are we going to let that person rule us, take over us? Adjustments are required, most definitely, as we face our fears, as we face our doubts, as we face the fears that have defined us for so long and held us back. Have we become a conglomeration of our failures? Have we become a conglomeration of our fears and our doubts and our insecurities? Has that taken over and taken away who we truly are? It brings us to our subconscious Luna message, which is confidence is your key to success. The new moon in Leo, self-love. because through confidence comes loving ourselves, comes connecting with ourselves, comes seeing ourselves. And that's extraordinary. Do you know how many people live and never see themselves? Live and never love themselves, never connect, never understand. They live for somebody else always. But if we can live and say, I see me, I love me, I understand me, that's brilliant and that's beautiful. It moves us to our subconscious energy to be mindful of. And it's the death card, it's Scorpio energy. It's the fact that we're going to need to balance this. It's the fact that it is intense for us. It's lies and it's secrets. And we can say, I hate lies and I hate secrets and I want to know everything. We can't know everything. We just can't. We're human. And so to understand that things will always be hidden, and to understand that truth is important, and to see the spiritual world and our public world in honesty and openness, that's going to be extraordinary. It moves us to our subconscious chakra energy, and that's self-mastery. This is the solar plexus chakra. This is the mastery of ourselves. This is the knowledge of ourselves. These are our weaknesses and our strengths and everything in between. Self-mastery means I know me. I know where I excel and I know where I don't. I don't excel at being a neat, tidy person. I am not. I'm the opposite of that. I'm like a cyclone. And self-mastery is knowing I excel at connecting with the heart and sitting with people and, conversation and love and brilliance. What is true for you? That's what's true for me. It's the self-mastery is seeing ourselves really, openly and honestly, and not hating ourselves for what we see, for who we are. Our subconscious rooted energy is the Empress. We are pregnant with possibilities. This is something we need to create, that we need to birth forward into our world. And this is doing so. This is saying, this is what I'm bringing to my existence, to myself. The Empress is also strength, not having others dictate who we are. Our voice, our determination, our focus, our insight. It brings us to our subconscious inner self. And that's the 10 of Cups. The 10 of Cups is, and they all live happily ever after. But here's the kicker. We use happiness as this broad term, but happiness is different for each and every one of us. What do we love? What do we need to celebrate in our lives? What brings us joy? What brings us fear? What brings us success? What brings us doubt? Who are we? As we're embracing our joy, as we're embracing our happiness, as we're embracing, our rainbow, our beauty, our discovery, we need to start to discover what we truly love and want within our lives. We can say what we don't want, and that could be a place to start. But what do we want? And how do we connect? It moves us. And we're also going to find we're coming to a completion of an emotional circle, subconsciously. We're finding a healing occurring. That could come into the conscious arena, most definitely. But subconsciously, we're really starting to see that. It moves us to our subconscious emotional self. And it's the Knight of Swords. We're going to want action. We're just going to want action. It's going to be like charge forward, go after. We have to be mindful because, again, we have that energy of force coming from Pochiron. So here, what we need to do is we need to realize that we are defending the Queen. We are defending what we have fought for, what we know, what we love. We're embracing the throat chakra, which is truth and dedication and connection. We are moving forward in a very real, very beautiful way. The Knight of Swords can be chaos and just action for the sake of action. But the Knight of Swords, when matured, when embraced with wisdom and knowledge and insight, is the hero of the story. Is the person who slays the dragons, slays the demons, cuts through the poison of our world, elevates our consciousness, and awakens a part of us that has been sleeping for way too long. It's the Sleeping Beauty story, with us also as the knight and as the princess that gets awakened. And so we are finding that our inner prince is awakening our inner princess, or our inner knight, our inner hero is awakening the part of us that hasn't felt safe enough to come out, that has been put to slumber because of the harshness of the world that we have become privy to as we mature, as we grow. It moves us to our subconscious public arena self. And this is the Three of Swords. The Three of Swords says heartbreak and sorrow and grief. We are looking at our heartbreak and sorrow and grief. And what we are seeing is how that pain, how that hurt, how that devastation has kept us stuck, has kept us overwhelmed, has kept us in a very specific place. And what the Knight of Swords, not the Knight of Swords, the Three of Swords is doing is saying, name that pain. Because once we name it, once we own it, we start to have power over it. We start to take away the boogie monster aspect of it. And we start to embrace our healing, our desire, and what we truly want from our lives without being defined by pain, hurt, and devastation. All right, Taurus. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. So let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the power and the intensity of this time and of ourselves. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Taurus. And may you have a blessed moon.